You solved the problem in the shower. Hours after everyone else gave up, you read a room the second you walk into it, but you froze on every test that was supposed to measure how smart you are. For 100 years, we judged intelligence by a single number, and psychologists now admit that number misses most of it. You were never bad at being smart. You're wired for a kind of intelligence the world barely measures. Here are 11 signs you have it. Count how many are you as I go, and hold on to your number. At the end, I'll tell you what it means and the one thing to do with it. Most people get to 6 before they realize they were smart all along, just in a language the classroom never spoke. Let's begin. Sign 1. Your best ideas arrive the moment you stop trying. Not at the desk, in the shower, on a walk, half asleep. You wrestle a problem all day, give up, and the answer shows up when you're thinking about nothing. That's not laziness. Psychologists call it the incubation effect, a signature of a mind that keeps processing in the background long after the surface goes quiet. People who only think on command never get those gifts. You do, because your brain never really stops working the problem. Some of history's biggest breakthroughs arrived exactly this way, not at the desk, in the pause. Sign 2. You see patterns and connections nobody else notices. You spot the link between two things that seem unrelated. You sense where a trend is going, before the data confirms it. You hear a story and instantly see the structure underneath it. This is pattern intelligence, the ability to compress a messy world into the shape running beneath it. One of the rarest and most valuable forms of thinking there is, and standard tests almost never look for it. It's the mind of the detective, the investor, the scientist who sees the theory before the proof, and it usually works faster than you can put it into words. If your mind is always connecting dots other people don't even see, that's sign 2. Sign 3. You can't stop asking why. Most people accept the surface answer and move on. You can't. You want the mechanism, the reason under the reason, the thing behind the thing. As a kid, you probably drove adults a little crazy. As an adult, that same hunger is exactly what separates people who truly understand a subject from people who only memorized it. Deep curiosity isn't a distraction from intelligence. In the research, it's one of the strongest predictors of it. The people who go furthest in any field are rarely the ones who knew the most at the start. They're the ones who couldn't stop wanting to know more. Sign 4. You read people in seconds. You walk in and you just know who's tense, who's lying, who's about to speak. You catch the shift in a voice, the thing a face says that the mouth won't. Psychologists Peter Salovey and John Mayer gave this a name in 1990, emotional intelligence, and decades of research since suggest it predicts success in work and relationships at least as powerfully as IQ. Reading people isn't a soft skill. It's a form of processing most tests can't even attempt. Quick check-in. How many so far? If you're already at 3 or 4, drop your number in the comments right now and tell me which sign felt most like you. I read every reply, and the patterns in them decide what I make next. Now stay with me, because the next few are the ones school actively punished you for. Sign 5. You're street smart. You figure out the real world. Maybe you weren't top of the class, but drop you into a messy real situation, and you find a way through. You improvise. You read the unwritten rules. You get things done where the book smart freeze. Psychologist Robert Sternberg built an entire theory around this. He called it practical intelligence and argued it's a huge part of real-world success that IQ tests completely ignore. If life is your exam and you keep passing it, that's a kind of intelligence, whatever your report card said. Some of the most effective people alive would have scored average in a classroom and then walked out and built something the top student never could. Sign 6. You adapt fast when everything changes. Plans fall apart, the rules shift, the ground moves, and while others freeze, you're already recalculating. This is close to what researchers call fluid intelligence, the raw ability to solve new problems you've never seen before, without a script. It's the opposite of just knowing a lot of facts. It's what you do when your knowledge runs out and you have to think on your feet. One of the truest signals of a sharp mind. Facts can be looked up. This can't. When the map is wrong and there's no time to draw a new one, you're the one who still finds north. Sign 7. You think in pictures, not just words. You can rotate an object in your head, see how a room will look before it's built. Remember things as images and scenes. You sketch to explain. You map problems in space. This is spatial intelligence, the mind of architects, surgeons, designers, engineers. Yet a word and number test barely registers it. If your thoughts arrive as pictures more than sentences, your intelligence just runs on a different channel than the one school graded. Now, one honest thing. Before you crown yourself a genius, here's the part most videos like this leave out. Intelligence is spiky, not uniform. Almost nobody is strong in all of these. You might be brilliant at reading people and hopeless with directions. A pattern genius who can't remember a name. That's not a flaw in you. That's how minds actually work. And it's exactly why you may have spent years underrating your own. The school system measured one narrow lane, words and logic, under time pressure. And if your gift lived in a different lane, it told you that you were average. You weren't. You were just being measured in a language you don't think in. Keep that in mind for the last 4, because a couple of them are the rarest of all. Sign 8. You learn by doing, not by reading about it. Hand you the manual, and your eyes glaze over. Let you touch it, take it apart, try it, and you've got it in minutes. Your intelligence lives partly in your hands and your body, in movement and practice, not in abstract instructions. It's why some of the most capable people you know barely finish school. Knowing by doing is real intelligence. It just never fit inside a written exam. The mechanic who diagnoses an engine by sound, the nurse whose hands know before the chart does, the cook who never measures. That's intelligence living in the body, and it runs deep. Sign 9. Music, art, or beauty makes a deep kind of sense to you. A piece of music can feel like it's saying something words can't. You notice composition, rhythm, proportion. You feel when something is right before you can explain why. This aesthetic intelligence is its own way of understanding the world, the mind of artists, composers, designers. If beauty doesn't just please you, but seems to mean something to you, that's a form of intelligence too. One no multiple-choice test will ever score. It reads the world through pattern and feeling, and it sits right beside the analytical mind, not beneath it. Sign 10. You stay clear-headed when everyone else is losing it. The crisis hits, the panic spreads, and you get calm, focused, almost slow. You think while others react. This is emotional intelligence turned inward, the ability to regulate your own mind under pressure, which research links to better decisions and stronger leadership than raw IQ predicts. The person who can think clearly when it counts isn't just brave. They're running one of the most useful kinds of intelligence there is. Everyone wants that person in the room when it all goes wrong, and if that person is usually you, you've been carrying something rare, and calling it just staying calm. Sign 11. You understand yourself better than most people understand anyone. You know why you do what you do. You catch your own patterns, name your own feelings, see your own blind spots, and you keep updating the model. Psychologists call this intrapersonal intelligence, and in many ways it's the rarest of all, because it's the one thing no one else can teach you or test you on. The world is full of people who are brilliant about everything, except themselves. If you're not one of them, save the best for last. That's sign 11. And it compounds. The better you know yourself, the better every other kind of intelligence works, because you finally stop aiming your gifts in the wrong direction. So, what's your number? Here's the frame that ties all 11 together. For a century, we treated intelligence as one thing. You could score on a single test. Then researchers pushed back. Howard Gardner proposed a theory of multiple intelligences, spatial, musical, interpersonal, and more. Robert Sternberg argued real-world success runs on analytical, creative, and practical intelligence together. These frameworks are still debated, And a traditional IQ test does measure something real. But even its defenders admit it captures only one narrow slice of how a mind can be brilliant. Everything you just heard lives in the slices it leaves out. So here's what to actually do with it, starting today. First, stop measuring yourself with the wrong ruler. If you spent years feeling average, check which test you failed. Odds are it only graded one lane, while your gift lived in another. You're not behind. You were misjudged. A fish graded on how well it climbs a tree will spend its whole life believing it's a failure. Second, put your real intelligence to work on purpose. Aim your mind at problems that reward your type: reading people, building things, spotting patterns, creating. Instead of forcing it into the one format that never fit, the right arena turns a weakness into an obvious strength. Third, pair up. Don't apologize. Your intelligence is spiky, so team with people whose lanes cover yours, and let yours cover theirs. That's not a weakness to hide. It's how the sharpest people in the world actually operate. So if even a few of these were you, do me a quick favor.
Hit like so more people find this, and subscribe, because in the next video, we're breaking down the daily habits that quietly sharpen these rarer kinds of intelligence, the ones no school ever taught. Then tell me in the comments, what's your number and which sign surprised you the most? Because you were never not smart. You were just being measured in a language you don't think in.